History bears testament to those who have led a nation. From the early kings that united warring tribes to create some semblance of a nation, to those that have caught the spirit and essence of their people and turned it into the ingredients to forge empires. We have seen those who have risen to lead. Kings, queens, emperors, revolutionaries, generals, presidents and prime ministers. Each has sought to harness the power of a nation and with it govern it. Some seek stability, others glory and conquest, and others wish to make the nation great again. From Julius Caesar to Margaret Thatcher, from Cleopatra to JFK, from Queen Elizabeth to Winston Churchill, and from Wu Zetian to Barack Obama, we have witnessed leaders rise and fall. The great and the greedy, the peaceful and the pugilists, the builders and the bringers of destruction. The world has witnessed many leaders, but what if your favorite YouTubers found themselves installed as a leader of a nation, be it an existing one or a virgin nation state? How would they lead? What would change? What would remain? What would their key policies be? What would be the national anthem? Who would form their cabinet? How would they rule? Well, you are about to find out in HG Tudor's exciting new series, If I Ruled My World, where YouTubers hold the reins of power and you decide if you want them as your leader. Hello, I'm HG Tudor, and welcome to another episode of If I Ruled My World, where the reins of power have been placed in the hands of various YouTubers to determine just how capable they are at being at the helm of a nation. And today we are joined by Leila Jane, who is going to set out for us her vision of her particular country, be it an existing one that she has taken over or an entirely fictional one that has been created that is somewhere on planet Earth. Leila, hello.
Hello, HG.
Thank you very much for coming on today to let us know what's the nature of your vision is. So let's begin with what's the name of your country?
The name of my country is Girl Tasia.
Girl Tasia.
Yeah.
Okay. For some reason, I immediately thought of a Katy Perry video for some reason, of her walking through an environment of oversized lollipops and female empowerment, but that might have just been the slops of my delinquent mind working overtime. So, Girl Tasia. Why Girl Tasia?
Well, to be honest, it was the first thing that came to my head, so I just ran with it.
Okay.
I was listening to the song which I chose as the national anthem, and that just came into my head, and I was like, yeah, why not?
All right, that's fine. What's the capital of Girl Tasia?
Inland Empire.
Inland Empire.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds suitably ostentatious. What's the thought process behind that?
Well, I love David Lynch, and Inland Empire sounds really cool. And I was thinking that we could have a statue of David Lynch in the center of the capital city,
Mhm.
and to celebrate his great artistness.
Okay.
Yeah.
David Lynch gets at least one statue in the
Yeah.
capital of Inland Empire. You have to have a seat of power. What does that look like?
Well, I am the queen in the of the desert. It's okay. So it's an oasis in the desert,
Mhm.
because then it'll be hot and sunny all the time.
Mhm.
And I recently watched a film called The Bad Batch, and it was such a vibe. And I thought, oh my God, that would be such a cool setting for a country. And it was a kind of cool film where Keanu Reeves was the kind of like leader-ish of the place. But I thought that I could have a palace like his in the desert. And that
Okay,
would be,
so based upon Keanu's gaff,
yeah,
yeah, we've got a
yeah,
palace in the oasis
yeah.
in the desert. So is it the case that Tasia is the oasis itself, and or does Tasia have both oasis and desert?
It has oasis and desert, but I suppose the oasis could be the Inland Empire capital city.
Oh, I see. Okay, so it consists of both oasis and desert, and the Inland Empire part is the oasis.
Yeah,
Okay, that's fine. And you're the queen, so you're the queen
yeah,
of Tasia,
yeah,
Queen Leila the First.
yeah.
Okay. Now you touched on this, the national anthem. What have we got?
We have Bad Girls by MIA.
Bad Girls by MIA. Okay. Now, given the fact you're a singer, you're going to have to make me a quick blast of what Bad Girls by MIA sounds like.
Yeah, okay, here goes. I mean, she's a rapper, so
Okay, yeah.
it goes, live fast, die young, bad girls do it well. Live fast, die young, bad girls do it well. My chain, it's my chest when I'm banging on the dashboard. My chain, it's my chest when I'm banging on the radio.
Very
Like that.
good. Okay. I felt like I should have joined in with some beatbox accompaniment then, but I didn't want to spoil your rapping. Okay. And why Bad Girls?
Because it's just such attitude, and it's really, I think, to get anything done in the world, you have to almost be perceived as a bad girl in order to move things forward,
Mm-hmm.
because you're not going to be just put in your place. You're going to have to risk being perceived as bad in order to do good.
Okay.
Yeah.
What if the gentlemen of Girl Tasia are assuming that men are allowed in?
Yeah.
What if they were to say, hang on a second, what about Bad Boys? Can we not sing that? Or does everybody, is it, no, you're going to have to sing Bad Girls?
I think that they should humor us
Mm-hmm.
in a good light and sing Bad Girls. I mean, they're free to sing Bad Boys if they want,
Mm-hmm.
but they just have to know that Bad Girls is superior.
Right. Okay. So Bad Girls is the national anthem. You're not going to allow any derivations. I mean, if they want to, of course, people are free to sing. You're not stopping
Yeah.
people from singing. But Bad Girls is the national anthem.
Yeah.
Okay. What's your national dish?
The national dish is the Hawaiian poke bowl.
The Hawaiian poke bowl. Talk me through
Bowl.
that.
Yeah. So it's such a healthy dish. I love it. They have
Mm-hmm.
they have a shop selling it near where I live,
Mm-hmm.
and you can choose whatever you want, but it's all fresh. And for example, you can have wakame and tofu and spinach, and there's like lots of options if you're vegetarian, and it's just really healthy and fresh. So why not? And it's kind of easy to
Yeah,
make.
I've taken the liberty of looking it up because it's not something I'm familiar with, and it's telling me there's avocado, corn,
Yeah.
chili flakes, spring onions, carrots, walnuts, red onions, homemade hummus, chili flakes, homemade falafel, and honey mustard. It does sound delicious, actually.
Yeah, what variety? Like, how can you get more variety than that?
You're certainly hitting your food groups with all of
Yeah.
that. Picture makes it look rather tasty as well. Apparently, you can make it at home in less than 15 minutes.
Yeah.
This one appears to have tuna in it as well, and it looks particularly colourful. So you're getting plenty of good things inside of you when you're eating the Hawaiian poke bowl, rather. I beg your pardon.
Yeah.
How do you know about that? You mentioned that you can buy it near where you live. Is that how you came across it, or?
That is how I came across it. Yeah. I was at this tree planting weekend a few years ago, and there was this guy there who worked in that. He was a chef. So we were all camping in this place, and he was doing the cooking for us on this campsite. He's like, yeah, I'm such a good cook because I work in this shop or I manage it. And that was kind of the first I heard about it. But now I live just down the road from there. So if I don't feel like cooking, I go there and I'm never disappointed.
No, it sounds good, and a healthy dish for your citizens as well. So
Yes.
That looks like it would probably get a ringing endorsement. And when is this national dish going to be eaten? Is it whenever you want it, or special occasions, when there's a visit from ambassadors from another country? When is the Hawaiian poke bowl getting wheeled out?
I think it's going to be promoted as a food to eat all the time.
Yeah.
And of course, we can make it for people, especially if they come. We can have, because it could be just like a basic version every day, but we can make a super extravagant version for if we have a special occasion. Of course, because it seems like you can make lots of versions of it.
Yes. Yeah, I understand. Does poke mean something?
To be honest, I don't know what it means.
I was just wondering if there was any significance behind that. Is anybody Hawaiian who happens to be listening? They can let us know in the comments if there is any significance about poke. Now, I'm thinking that possibly the children of girl Tasia might wrinkle their nose at that, because it is rather healthy. But is it a case of, you've got to eat it, it's good for you, and if you don't, you'll get zapped with this electric cattle prod? Or any dispensations for the children? Or is it, no, that's the national dish, everybody's got to eat it as at the appropriate times?
Well, people are free to eat what they want, but if children are raised on it, then they won't know any different.
Yeah.
So maybe they'll really appreciate. I think eating healthy food allows you to really appreciate good quality food and appreciate the variety as well.
Okay, so start them young.
Yeah.
We've got our national dish. What's girl Tasia's national animal?
The pug.
The pug.
Pug, yeah.
Another person going for a dog. Why the pug? Do you have a pug?
No, I wish.
Okay, so why a pug then?
Because they're so cute.
Okay, so simply because they're cute.
Yeah.
What about the fact that the little fuckers can't breathe properly?
I know. It's so bad.
Yeah. But that doesn't matter. They're cute.
Yeah, they're cute. They do have to be well taken care of.
Yeah.
But when anyone looks at a pug, their hearts melt.
Okay.
So
that's the idea.
Yeah.
Do pugs exist naturally in girl Tasia? Are they indigenous to the country?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Yeah. And do you think they would enjoy a diet of Hawaii poke bowl as well?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So we've got the pug. So it's a cuteness. So we've got healthy food, a cute national animal. Take me to your flag.
Yeah. So I thought about this, and I thought, why not have this is my picture.
Oh, very good. You spent some time on that. There's plenty going. There's plenty going on in there. Oh, talk me through this, Leila.
So I did this to be honest, I just needed to get it out of my system. It was a few years ago. I had this, it was the last narcissistic boyfriend I had. He was actually on holiday in France to visit his ex-girlfriend, and I just sat at home and drew this. But it ended up being partly, I ended up using it for one of my album covers.
Yes.
But I think as a flag, you could have like pink on either side of it to make it out into a flag.
Okay,
And
so you'd have a pink border all the way around, or two pink stripes either side?
yeah, two pink stripes either side with white in between.
White in between, and then all of this that's going on. My eyes are immediately drawn to somebody who looks like they've got either a cherry or an apple for a head, and they're upside down.
Yeah. Well, you can't see the rest of his body. He's upside down, kicking a football upside down.
Is that the ex-boyfriend?
Yeah.
I see. So he's been buried in the ground, has he?
Yes.
Okay.
Those are his glasses too.
Oh, right.
He actually lost his glasses while I was at the beach with him, and so I included that as part of the story.
Was he Mr. Magoo?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. So they look like some fairly thick gem. And it looks like there's a camera a bit lower down on the picture.
Yeah.
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 Is there any significance behind that?
Well, yeah. This is so crazy. I had a housemate who I knew he stole my camera, because when I asked him, his reaction was just so like, no, I haven't. And then a few weeks later, I just tidied my room and I went in and I knew where everything was, and I hadn't seen the camera in weeks. And then when I went back into my room, the camera was like placed on the floor in a specific place, and like on my yoga mat. And I thought, oh, that's just my housemate putting it back, because I knew he had it. But then when I mentioned it to another housemate, then all of a sudden there was this like, you accused me of taking your camera. And I was just like, whoa, that bit of an overreaction there.
Yes.
But I knew that he had my camera.
Okay. And so what we've got there looks like an acid trip.
Yeah.
And is it basically a brain vomit that we're looking at there, that you sat down one day and you just felt the need to sort of almost draw what was occupying your mind, and that's what we got?
Yeah.
Okay. So the flag, in embodying all of that, is very much embodying what, sort of the chaos of your brain?
Yeah, at that point in time, yeah.
Okay.
I thought it was a great way of getting it on paper.
Yeah. So I can understand that there's a degree of catharsis for you in doing all of that. What does it say to the nation and its citizens that they've got a flag that is basically a brain vomit acid?
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, so it says that people can take whatever meaning they want from it, like a piece of art. And it also encourages people to just think a bit more deeply about things.
Okay, so the idea is, rather than it necessarily standing for something, it can mean anything depending on who's looking at it. They'll interpret it the way they want to interpret it.
Yes, and that encourages them to think for themselves as well.
Okay, so there's no prescriptive nature associated with your flag. You're not telling people this is what it means, this is what it stands for. You're basically saying, here's the flag, but you can take from it whatever you want. So if you think this is a bad acid trip, you can. If you think to yourself that this represents something else, you can. I'm not telling you what to think about it. I want you to think for yourself.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
What's your national motto?
Yeah, so as I was thinking about this, I thought of a few options, but last night I thought this was the perfect motto. It's what goes around comes around.
Hmm? What goes around comes around.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the thought process behind that?
I think if you treat your people well, you'll benefit ultimately. And because what goes around comes around.
Okay, so the idea is to encourage people to have regard for the impact of their behaviors on others because
Yeah.
it could become revisited on you.
Yes.
Okay. And that's something very much you subscribe to in your life, is it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So you think to yourself, well, if I do this, there's a risk that it might come back and be revisited on me. So I'm going to treat people in a particular way because I'd like them to treat me in a similar way.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't think about it too intellectually. It's just natural for me, obviously. But
Okay. Yeah.
I just want to be nice to people. But
Sure, I understand that. You don't have to think to yourself, oh, I need to be nice to people because
yeah.
that's just your default setting.
Yeah.
You are naturally pleasant and kind and compassionate to people. And so you in effect behave that way. That's ingrained in you.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think it's a good motto because it makes sense and
Straightforward.
straightforward, good mindset, makes
Yeah.
sense.
Where will we see this motto? Is it on the side of buildings? Is it on official note paper? Do the youth get it tattooed across their lower backs? Where do we see this motto?
Cool. I like that idea of tattoos. It's a good idea, HG. But yeah,
What do you
so
think? State
what?
sponsored tattoos. You get to the age of 16 and the state comes along and grabs you and pops a tattoo of what goes around comes around on your lower back.
I mean, I wouldn't want to force people to do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good idea. It could be cool. I think people should definitely have the option of doing that if they want. We could facilitate it. But it could be, again, I really love the way in the Bad Batch they had those signs. You know those signs that look like you've got, I don't know what you call them, but it looks like the letters have been placed on, and it's like a white background. And anyway, we could have signs up. Sorry, that wasn't a bad description, but just billboards with
So repeated reminders at appropriate places around Girl Tasia of this motto, just to keep people remembering. In the same way, in Britain, in the film V for Vendetta, you'd have posters saying "Unity through strength." You would have "What goes around comes around" popped up on a billboard somewhere in a similar way to, although I've not seen it and I can't envisage it, but what you've seen in the Bad Batch.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So plenty of reminders about this motto, which makes sense in order to ensure that the populace are familiar with it. And another way, of course, of getting the message across is on your National Day. So, Leila, what are you going to call your National Day and what date is it?
So it's on the 23rd of November, and it is National Underrated Artist Day.
Okay. Well, let's start with the date. Why 23rd of November?
Because it's the best day of the year. It's my birthday, so.
I see. It's your birthday. Okay. So a little bit of vanity there.
Yeah.
That's all right. It's your country after all. And National Underrated Artists Day. That's clearly coming from the heart.
Yeah. So first I thought of, do you know Harry Nilsson?
I don't. Who's that?
Yeah. But have you heard the song, I Can't Live If Living Is Without You?
Yes, I have.
Yeah. So he was the first person to make that song popular, but nobody knows about him. Do you know the song, Everybody's talking at me.
Yes.
I don't hear what. He also made
Okay.
that song popular. Nobody knows about him. There is a documentary about him called Who the Hell is Harry Nilsson and Why is Everyone Talking About It? Which is so good. I cried.
So he's behind some very well-known songs, but people don't attribute them to him.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
we're going to celebrate him because he deserves it.
Okay, so he gets that. But that's not just him. It's other
No.
underrated artists as well. That's a jolly good idea. So
Yeah.
you're wanting to celebrate the people that should have recognition, but they haven't got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so how does this take place? Is it a day of playing their songs and their face being flashed up on the billboard so everybody knows who they are?
Yeah, pretty much. And we could have a big concert where we all come and sing the songs of these artists. A lot of the artists I thought of also who maybe had no recognition and were really poor during their life, but then after they died, they got famous. So there's a good lot of those as well.
Can you give me an example of somebody?
Yeah, I can give a few examples. Karen Dalton, Nick Drake, Lee Moses, Arthur Russell, just a few of my favorites.
And none of those names mean anything to me, which I suppose is exactly proving your point.
Yeah.
What's Nick Drake associated with, song-wise?
Yeah, so Nick Drake is English, and what songs? He has the song I don't know which songs people have heard. Let me see his most listened to one on Spotify.
Yeah.
I think it's called Place to Be. I think he's like an English folk singer, and he's an English folk singer.
Yeah.
And he committed suicide when he was 26.
Okay.
And he has, so
was that because he wasn't getting any recognition?
Yeah. He did express disappointment that he wasn't, people just talked over his shows and stuff. I don't really know why, I think he overdosed. But his most listened to song on Spotify is Pink Moon, and then it's Place to Be. He also has the song Day Is Done, which for me is the most catchy.
Yeah, okay. Well, so there'd be a National Underrated Artists Day.
Yeah.
That certainly seems a noble venture with a concert to celebrate the people that haven't got the recognition that they ought to do so. I could also see some tremendous merit in having a day, and I think I'd be inclined to adopt this in my nation, of I wish they'd fucking shut up and we'd never heard of them day. So certain overplayed artists who essentially I would ban them for the entirety of perpetuity and the future, so we never have to hear anything by that artist ever again, which of course you as a musician wouldn't like such a level of censorship, but that would be my country, not yours. So we've got National Underrated Artists Day. That seems a very fair thing to do.
Yeah.
Now, what about currency in Girl Tasia? What's the unit of currency called?
It's called Eco-Stellar.
Eco-Stellar?
Yeah.
That sounds like something that is a alcohol-free beer. But what's it? So there's an Eco-Stellar. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's imagine that your lowest denomination is 5 Eco-Stellars. So on your lowest denomination note, who or what would appear on that banknote?
A guy called Michael Singer.
Okay, who's that?
He is kind of like a spiritual teacher.
Okay, so nothing to do with Singer sewing machines and nothing to do with being a singer. Okay, so he's a spiritual chap. And let's say the highest denomination is 500 Eco-Stellars. Who or what appears on that note?
A guy called Jack Fresco.
Okay, and Jack Fresco, who's he?
He is a scientist who lived until he only died a few years ago. He lived until he was like in his 90s, and he just thought about all these amazing ways that the world would just work so much better, like more sustainable, and enough, like we have enough resources in the world to feed everyone. And he just found great ways of, you know, even like how to build roads so that people don't crash and stuff like that. Like he thought about that.
It'd be interesting to learn what his proposals were in respect of that. I suppose a simpler thing would be ban most drivers, because most drivers are idiots, but that wouldn't necessarily be entirely practical, I suppose. Okay, so Jacques Fresco appears on the highest denomination of note. We're going to now test out some of your policies, and I'm going to provide you with some options. You have to pick one, no caveats. You have to go with the one that's closest to what you would do. So let's start with your foreign policy, Leila. Your options are as follows. Is your foreign policy, we'll simply stick to defending girl Tasia alone, or we'll defend this country and we will also aid nations that we're allied with, or we're going to take on a more proactive role. We're going to take on a world policing role, or will you be expansionist in terms of you're eyeing some territory that used to belong to girl Tasia some time ago and you want it back, or you're going to want that territory back that used to belong to you, and a neighboring country perhaps has got some resources that you'd rather like. They've got some artists that you want to commandeer and make famous perhaps. Or is your policy basically an aggressive one, as you've looked at me funny, I'm coming to invade you? What's your foreign policy?
Well, I thought, you know, now that you've explained things, you know, in that way, I mean, I don't want to be too aggressive. My default, my sort of go-to would be aid allied nations and defend own country. So obviously keep our place safe. Yep. But also be supportive and helpful to our allied nations as well. I mean, you know, just the least amount of conflict possible.
Yes, that's fine. Nuclear missiles. You don't have any. You do have them, but you're only going to use them as a deterrent, namely, you'll never use them, but you don't tell anybody that. Or you will only use them if someone uses nuclear weapons against you. Or, hell yeah, I'm going to nuke anybody that causes me a problem.
Yeah, again, I mean, I would veer towards the first two, but I mean, just to stay on the safe side, I guess we could use it as a deterrent only. Yeah.
Okay. Press freedom. There's no state interference in the press, or you will only interfere on the grounds of national security, or you will interfere on whatever grounds you deem to be sensitive. So basically, if you don't like it, you'll interfere. Or the media is state-owned.
I don't think we want to interfere with the media. No state interference, press freedom. Because we as the leaders want to learn about what people are really thinking.
Okay, so you're pretty happy if the Super Soaraway son in Girl Tasia starts criticizing your policies and saying, Queen Leila doesn't know what she's talking about. She's an imbecile. She's come up with this idea. I mean, have you seen the state of the flag? She's clearly off her box on drugs. Is she the right person to rule? And there's this slamming indictment of you. You're okay with that?
Yeah, because tough shit.
What's tough shit?
Well, they can say that, but
of course they can. They just did.
I'm still the leader, so
so you're just going to suck it up?
Well, I could just write a sort of backlash article.
Okay, so what? A backlash article? What's that? Telling them they're very naughty and they're not getting any supper?
No, just saying that this is what they think, and isn't that interesting?
Okay, so you'd look to counter it. So you wouldn't stop them. You wouldn't You wouldn't prevent them being able to say it in the first place. You would just possibly come out with your own PR to counter it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And be like, well.
So it's okay in Girl Tasia for you to use the state's resources to support your own ego when somebody criticizes you.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all right. It's your country.
Yeah.
Let's look at religious tolerance now, Leila.
Mm-hmm.
Is it the case that there's complete freedom of worship and expression? Or you can have freedom of worship so long as you're not provocative towards other people? Or let's say there is an existing indigenous religion in Girl Tasia. So that's the one that takes precedence, but you secretly tolerate other ones as well. Or your existing indigenous religion is the only one that's allowed. There's non-tolerance of any others, and you actually persecute those unapproved religions. Or is the stance, you worship me and only me, I'm Queen Leila?
I think that we would encourage freedom of expression, and you can just have whatever worship you want.
So complete freedom of worship and expression.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a commune that's set up whereby they explain that it's appropriate that if you see a pug, you shoot it. That's their religion. Yeah. They're allowed to express that view.
No.
No?
No.
Change your mind then.
Well,
that's their religion. It might be a bit out there, but they think that pugs are the manifestation of some form of demonic spirit and must be eradicated from the face of Girl Tasia.
Well, we'd have to get our intelligence and find a way of dealing with this cult.
Dealing with this cult? What?
Yeah.
Basically, black bag them, take them into a dungeon and disincentivize them? Bit of neck snapping? Take them out?
Yeah. No, I mean,
no?
Like, do something about it, because they can't be going around killing the pugs.
Well, okay,
let's
say that they don't actually kill the pugs, but they're just trying to encourage other people to encourage the plug to kill the pugs.
Well, we'd really have to have a big talk about this and why people are doing this, and have a really serious meeting to discuss where the hell this idea came from.
Okay, so it's really freedom of worship unless you're provocative to others then.
Yeah, you caught me, HG, you caught me.
Well, no, it's not a case of getting you, it's just fine-tuning what your policies are, that's all. Okay, let's address the question of equality now, Leila.
Okay.
Is it the case that minorities are actively supported, they're protected, and they get positive discrimination? Or is it simply the case that minorities are protected by anti-discrimination legislation? Or is your stance, we promote ability, we don't fill quotas? Or minority issues are ignored, because at the end of the day, they're just a minority, aren't they? So who really cares? Or minorities are actively persecuted because, let's be honest here, minorities are just a pain in the arse. They're a bunch of attention seekers. So let's persecute them. What's your stance?
Well, I think that, I mean, promoting ability and not filling quotas makes sense.
Yeah.
But I don't know, if people have an issue with that, then we'll see what we can do.
Okay. So the Wake Me Up Before You Go tribe has come, and they have landed in Girl Tasia, and they're only a small group, and they're saying that as a consequence of the fact that they've got strange shaped heads, nobody will employ them. And they're saying to you, we'd like a bit of positive discrimination here so we can get onto the employment ladder and have a career. But basically, because they've got funny shaped heads, it means they're a bit lazy. So they're not that good workers. So is it a case you'd give in to their demands and say, well, actually, yeah, we'll give you some positive discrimination. Say, sorry, guys, you know, I know you've got funny shaped heads and that makes you lazy, but ultimately it's ability what matters. I'm not here to fill quotas.
Well, I might implement some courses to help them, you know, get better abilities and,
Yeah.
you know,
So
take
you'd provide them with some support in terms of
support.
education, etc.,
Yeah.
and training, rather than necessarily hand them a job.
Yeah, so that
Okay.
they go into the job confident about their abilities because they're clearly qualified.
Okay. Well, that sounds like a minority that's being actively supported.
Yeah,
Okay.
if they need it, you
Yeah,
know.
and you're protecting them as well.
I suppose I am, yeah.
Yeah, and you're giving them some positive discrimination because you're choosing them ahead of other people to give them that training.
Well, because they need it more than other
Okay.
people.
All right.
Yeah.
There we are.
I mean, the people that maybe the other people, if the other people have already had this training,
yeah,
and the minority comes in and people think they look a bit weird, and you know that they need to maybe catch up
yeah.
with where we're all at.
What about shooting them? That will cure the problem. You don't have to think about it any longer.
Yeah, nah.
No?
No, that's not really.
No,
That
that's not
doesn't help.
Okay. What about just ignoring them? They'll shut up eventually.
Well, I don't think they'll shut up.
Okay. Fair enough. Just wanted to probe your thoughts in that regard.
Yeah.
Okay, we found out a bit more about your policies. Now let's
Okay.
address the question of your short form cabinet. 5 positions that need to be filled. Who is your defence chief?
So my defence chief is criminal profiler Pat Brown.
Pat Brown. Okay, and I dare say the clue is in the criminal profiler aspect.
Yeah.
Okay, so is it a man or a woman?
A woman.
It's a woman. Okay, Patricia. Yeah. Okay, so Pat Brown is there to weed out the undesirables as a consequence of her profiling and advise you, Queen Leila, as to, oh, well, you don't want to let these ones in, they're wrong ones.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Who's your foreign secretary?
My foreign secretary is the rapper MIA.
Okay, why have we got a rapper as foreign secretary?
Because she's just so not afraid of authority, and she she's very, she kind of is like a bit political and just says what she thinks, and you can trust her because she's honest, and she's, you know, she's lived in different, she's from different countries, and
yeah, so she's got a bit of experience of the world. Would you have it that she made all of her addresses as raps? So when she made a speech, she would rap it.
That would be so cool.
Okay. Well, you're the leader. You could prescribe that to her.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've got MIA. Presumably that stands for missing in action, does it?
I suppose. I never thought about it. Her, like, obviously it's not her real name, but that's her artist name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's not called Mia.
No, it's MIA. Yeah.
MIA. Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It doesn't mean masturbates in Africa or something like that.
I should think not. No.
Okay. Just seeing it, just throwing that out there. Well, who's your chief scientific officer?
He is Dr. John Campbell.
Who's that?
He's somebody. He has a YouTube channel. He's like a nurse or a doctor, but he reads a lot of scientific reports, and I can tell that he's like a good man, and he's good at reading reports. He's doesn't have any conflict of interests, and he just follows the evidence wherever it leads, even if it's proved wrong.
Okay, so he's a kind-hearted, logical individual.
Logical, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Who's Chancellor of the Exchequer?
Ricky Gervais.
Ah. Why?
Because Ricky Gervais is an ethical man. He cares about animals. He also has a lot of money, so he's obviously good with money.
Yeah.
And he'd just be a great person to have around.
Yeah. Okay. Minister for Fun.
So the Minister for Fun is a comedian called Daniel Simonsen.
Right.
And he is from Norway, and he has the funniest accent. It's just as soon as I heard him, I was like, oh my God, that accent is so funny. And he can just walk into a room and not say anything, and people will start laughing. So he obviously has a gift.
Okay. So
yeah.
does he turn up and say, "Je heter Daniel, je kommer in Norge, från Norge," or does he do it in English?
No, he does do it in English.
He does it in English, like most Scandinavians. He speaks excellent
Yeah.
English. Okay.
Yeah.
And does he have that pronounced Scandinavian hurdy accent, or?
Yeah, it's hard to describe. He does have an accent. It's like Norway. Like I don't know, I can't do it, but
okay.
Yeah.
So Daniel Simonsen. I'll have to look him up. So he's the Minister for Fun. So he is going to come with some good Scandinavian sensibilities whilst making you all laugh. So that's the cabinet.
Yes.
And 3 men, two women, so reasonably balanced there also.
Yeah.
Which country would be your major ally?
The Netherlands.
Netherlands.
Yeah.
Okay, so you want to smoke a pancake and watch the sexy football with the people from the Netherlands? Huh?
I guess.
You guess? Why the Netherlands? Why are they your chums?
Well, I really want to go there. Honestly, I have not been there before, but they have 2 of the most sustainable cities in the world, I think. And they have legalized psilocybin truffles. And they stopped the fluoridation of their water because a scientist proved that it's harmful to health, like in 1973. And then they took it to court and then they stopped it. So they're just extremely logical, sustainable, and they allow psilocybin truffles.
Yeah. And they are on average the tallest people in Europe.
Ooh.
Yeah. And the ones that speak the most have English as a second language.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Netherlands, essentially, the things that they've achieved in their outlook sits well with you in terms of what you like about a country.
It does.
Yeah. Okay. That's understandable. Who's the enemy then?
Well, the enemy. This is going to be weird, but Ireland.
Really?
Yeah.
The Republic. Are you not going to get a brick through your window in a moment for saying that?
I could, yeah.
Why would Ireland be the enemy of Girl Tasia?
I mean, there's nothing against the Irish people. There's so many good things about Ireland. But firstly, the weather is absolutely shit all the time, and it's so unpredictable.
Yeah.
And also, well, I work at this organic vegetable market, and there was a guy, I overheard him talking about how Ireland still adds this toxic chemical to the water supply, and then I dug deeper into it, and then that's when I found out the Netherlands. I mean, obviously, like every other country in Europe does not do this, but Ireland does. And until they stop putting hydrofluorosilicic acid into the water, they are not my friend.
Okay.
If they stop doing that, then they can be friends again.
All right. So Ireland's the enemy based on its weather, which seems a bit harsh, because I'm sure if you mentioned that to your Minister for Fun, he would just turn around and tell you there's no such thing as bad weather, just bad clothing.
That is a good point.
Yeah. So you might be able to deal with that. But their attitude to their water supply is problematic.
Well, the government, the government's attitude,
Okay, interesting choices. Thank you for sharing that. Is there any particular group that would not be welcome in Girl Tasia?
Mid-range narcissists would have to be screened first.
Well, I think most people would agree on that. Those mealy-mouthed, shriveled up, walnut bald, cowardly mid-range narcissists, keep them out. Absolutely. Okay. You've got 5 foundation policies, Leila, to really make your mark on your government. So what's your first policy?
So the first policy is complimentary back massage for first-time visitors.
Okay. What's the thought process behind that?
Well, it boosts morale. It is ingratiating people who come to our country. So it kind of makes them think that, like, it'll put a good impression of us in them. They'll just feel so nice.
Yeah, everybody likes a back rub.
Yeah.
Okay. That's very friendly. What's your second policy? Yeah.
So the second policy is, if you want to live in Tasia, you must take the HG Tudor empath detector to determine what you are. Okay. And that will help inform the roles you have in Tasia. And empaths will be prioritized for leadership roles after they undergo intensive self-esteem training.
Okay, well, I can certainly see that would make me a lot of money, so I'm completely on board.
Yeah.
With policy number 2, absolutely. And to try and get as many empaths into your country whilst those mid-range narcissists are kept out. Certainly a logical approach. What would is it the case that you don't only want empaths in your country?
No, I don't think that it's necessarily. I see, like, I don't have black and white thinking. I've known many narcissists, and like even you, like there's certain things that they're so useful for. Like they can do so many cool things, and they're not all problematic or toxic, to a degree that in certain ways they help. They're very helpful, and there's good and bad in everyone, really.
You would just want more empaths in than others.
Yeah, I think empaths should be encouraged more to get a bit of self-esteem into them, so that they can actually prove to themselves that they are good at leadership type roles. I think just with empaths, they're perfectly capable of a lot, but they just lack the confidence sometimes.
Isn't there a risk they'll just be sat around singing Kumbaya and lighting joss sticks and crying over animals?
What's so bad about that?
Fair enough. What's policy number 3?
Policy number 3 is companies will be rewarded for how good they treat their employees and incentivized to implement meditation and well-being practices into their organization, as well as promoting fitness and nutrition.
A happy and healthy workforce is a productive workforce.
Yeah.
Okay. So look after the staff.
Yeah, look after the staff.
Workers. Yeah. So no place for herding them in like battery hens and basically saying, I'm going to work you till you drop. No. Want to look after. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. What if they're spending too much enjoying their well-being? What if they're meditating too much, not getting the job done?
Well, then the CEO of the job, the company, would have to figure out ways of incentivizing the actual work and why it's important, like educating on why the work is extremely important and making them feel conscious.
Yes.
And making them feel guilty about not doing the work.
But you would deem overall that the upside of offering that pastoral care of employees would outweigh the potential downside of some people getting a little bit too comfortable and taking the piss.
Yeah, I mean, if they're taking the piss, maybe they would just need a bit of disciplining.
Yeah.
But
cat o' nine tails, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
But I think But to be honest, HG, overall, I think that doing that would help boost morale and actually make people more productive. I think only a few would take the piss.
Yeah. Okay. You may well be right. What's policy number 4?
Oh yeah, if we are invaded, we will launch the deadly joke from Monty Python.
Oh, I see.
Have you seen that?
I haven't actually.
So have you ever watched Monty Python?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just not familiar with the deadly joke.
Yeah, so they're okay, so there's this one episode where this guy discovers that he's written this joke, right? And then he reads it, and he laughs so much that he dies. And then they try it out on other people.
It kills them.
And so it's really dangerous. So then they decided to use it when they go to war.
I see.
And they start saying it in German, and then they all die.
Okay, so it's the death by joke. A novel way of dealing with somebody invading you, but interesting. What's your 5th and final policy, please, Leila?
Okay. Oh yeah, so creative nourishment is a high priority. So like appreciating the arts, but also what we'll do to help people stay calm and focused is to pump out reggae music into the streets at given intervals. Yeah.
Okay, so you're going to create a relaxed Caribbean vibe with reggae music being pumped out at intervals across Girl Tasia.
Yeah.
Okay. I think there's a possibility that the workforce just might become a bit too relaxed with all of this creative nourishment and meditation, etc. And but then again, you might be right and said that it actually heightens their productiveness. Well, thank you for your foundation policy. So there we are. That's Leila's vision of Girl Tasia, as she's the queen, where people chow down on a Hawaiian poke bowl, which sounds very healthy indeed. The pug is revered as the national animal. There's a rather interesting flag, which you interpret yourself. So if you go art appreciation, that would no doubt be something that you would find favor with. David Lynch has his statue there. Their national currency is the Eco Stellar, and you learn that what goes around comes around. There's the National Underrated Artists Day, where those that perhaps ought to be earning a few more royalties get to feel the love for once, with a cabinet that's made up of a Norwegian comedian, a British comedian, and a criminal profiler. The Netherlands has looked on very favourably. Ireland is likely there's going to be conflict as a consequence of the war and what they stick in the water. The good news is, if you come to Girl Tasia, you'll get your back massage. You'll be detected to see if you're an empath, and if so, very much welcomed in, with meditation and well-being offered, along with some reggae music that you can listen to. Beware of invading Girl Tasia, otherwise you may find yourself laughing to death. That's the vision that Leila has. Is that a country that you feel, valuable listeners, that you go, actually, that sounds utopian to me? I'm dusting off my passport and I'm going to get on the first plane there. I'm looking forward to my back rub. Or do you think to yourself, no, that's not for me. In fact, I think I need to take that country down. Well, whatever you might think, if it's one or the other or in between, you can vote in the community section on the channel, so you can share your views about what you think about Leila's vision of Girl Tasia. All that remains for me to do is to thank Leila for sharing her views and advancing them in terms of what she sees as the ideal country. Leila, thank you very much.
Thank you, HG.